Sour Things is a bigger project that consists of several installations. Together, they make one domestic habitat, one apartment. For this exhibition, I'm focusing on the pantry space. What fascinates me about the pantry space that is different than the other spaces of any apartment, like the kitchen, the living room, the bedroom, is that all those spaces are in the day-to-day, they're habitual. But the pantry is the one space that resides in the future. We preserve all the food that we need for a future moment of need, a moment of scarcity, a moment of unavailability, and a moment of war. This exhibition, The Pantry, looks at this mode of preservation in different ways. It's a place and a no place at the same time. It's a construction and a deconstruction at the same time. It's a wooden structure with a wall, with a wallpaper that from a distance feels very homey. But when you look closer, you see traces of decay, of eyes looking back at you. There's violence indicated in different details in the wallpaper. And then there are the glass jars that are held by the turtle creatures on the floor with handfuls of salt that wait for an arrival to be able to use this salt to fill jars of ferment. Sometimes we take time for granted when it comes to fermentation. You actually need a place. You need to have control over a period of time to be able to ferment. Plus 2 videos with different archaeological pieces of vessels that are collected from different parts of Palestine that I lay on a body of a human, turning the body into a landscape and the landscape into a body. In another video, you see me constantly cleaning those pieces one by one in a way that I'm indicating this cleansing of history. Altogether, they make this space that it helped with the sound piece of Sour Cities, in which I look at sourness and how that sourness is planted as seeds under our tongue and we induce it into the world. For sour chords, I look at sun-drying method of preservation that was traditionally used long time ago. What fascinates me about this method of preservation is that water, the source of life, is dried of the vegetables in order to preserve them. When we need them, we hydrate them again, and then we can use them. This control over life force, when do we need to hold on this life force and then put it again into something? For me, it's something to reflect on. It's a method of preservation that we can use on our bodies and in our personal lives in moments of distress, pain, and trauma. I create those cords, those hanging pieces of okra, of chili, of garlic, and cloves, and they're held together with those small ceramic pieces that evoke bones. So the cords, they look like a skeleton, heavy but light, suspended but grounded. When you look closer, there are pieces that glazed with drawings of children that evoke witnessing a stressful event. I used to teach analysis of children drawings, and I use that symbolism in the glazing. Some other pieces, they just have this repetition of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the glazing itself. There are other traces of actual violence happening on the body of this vegetable in a very in-your-face way, like blood, and sometimes in the glazing of like a little explosion happening. There are pieces that are shedding their own skin, and there are pieces you don't know if they've been burned or totally destroyed. When you look closer to the pieces, you read into more the installation, and somehow those chords say something to you if you listen. For Griefing in Colors series, we have gloopy oranges squished together, and each of them have a different color that indicates a stage of grieving. Sometimes we think that we understand things, but when they happen, we realize that we don't even have the language for it. I was trying to understand how a collective loss can feel so personal. Why do I feel that parts of my body is literally dying because of an actual event that is happening? In those sculptures, the individual citrus is part of a group of citrus, and they together become one. And that's how exactly I feel grief when it's not induced by a personal cause. There are colors like this one, which is a red in your face. The sculpture becomes so visceral. It's anger, it says something loud. And in other pieces, like the blue ones or the green and blue ones, there's a more depressive, passive tone of grieving. Making those sculptures, the colors indicate a feeling, but that feeling is not linear. That's why I think each member of the audience, when they see the pieces, it resonates with a part of their understanding of loss and grief and pain differently. For sour things, the pantry, the jars are mostly the ones in the drawings. I created those drawings when I was thinking about one sentence that really hit me hard when I heard it. In November, a 13-year-old girl from Gaza wrote, "Would I be free if I became an object?" And it was shared on the social media of the Palestinian Museum. And I remember upon reading that sentence, my core was totally shook. So I created this series trying to understand how can an object be the only and sole way of attaining freedom. And in those drawings that are watercolor, ink, and brine, water and salt, I keep constructing and deconstructing and repeating the sentence in calligraphy. And the jars, they become more human because they feel. I take my own life as a starting point, and then I reflect on the bigger, on the outside of me. I think sourness is a human feel, it's a human emotion, and we all share it from different gateways. And that's why I want people to see my gateway of this sourness. Me as Mirna, me as a woman, me as a Palestinian, me as a human being.